on the edge of the bed we used to share, with your hands between your knees and your eyes looking somewhere. I could feel the distance growing, though you never moved away. There were words behind your silence that you couldn't bring yourself to say. You were looking at the ceiling like the answers were up there, and I wanted to reach for you, but I didn't know if you still cared. So I waited in the quiet for a truth I knew would hurt. But the hardest thing about losing you was hearing nothing first. Maybe you were trying to protect me, maybe you were scared of what I'd hear, but every word you left unspoken was the reason you disappeared. It was the words you never said that keep me awake at night. All the things you kept inside that you couldn't make me understand. It was the words you never said that I still hear in my head. Every I love you, you swallowed. Every please don't leave, you never said. It was the words you never said that made the silence feel so loud. You were standing right beside me, but your heart was somewhere else. And I would have stayed forever if you'd only let me know. But you left me with the questions and the words you never said. That you didn't want to hurt me. You said sometimes loving someone means you have to set them free. But I never understood it till I watched you walk away. 'Cause letting go of someone doesn't mean the love will fade. You were crying in the hallway, but you tried to hide your tears, and I knew that you were hurting just as much as I was then. I wanted you to tell me that you didn't want to leave, but you turned your face away and took the last thing I believed. Maybe you were trying to protect me, maybe you were scared of what I'd hear, but every word you left unspoken was the reason you disappeared. It was the words you never said that keep me awake at night. All the things you kept inside that you couldn't make me understand. It was the words you never said that I still hear here in my head. Every I love you, you swallowed. Every please don't leave, you never said. It was the words you never said that made the silence feel so loud. You were standing right beside me, but your heart was somewhere else. And I would have stayed forever if you'd only let me know. But you left me with the questions and the words you never said. your heart behind a wall, and I was never meant to know. Maybe that's the way you love me. Maybe silence was your way. Maybe you thought that disappearing would make the pain go away. But the truth is I would have listened. I would have taken every scar. I would have loved you through the darkness, no matter where you were. It was the words you never said that keep me awake at night. All the things you kept inside that you couldn't make me understand. It was the words you never said that I still hear in my head. Every I love you, you swallowed. Every please don't leave, you never said. It was the words you never said. Saw you walking down the street on a Sunday afternoon. You were wearing that old sweater that I bought for you too soon. You were laughing with somebody, and I almost called your name. But I stood there in the distance, and I let you walk away. You looked happier than ever, like the world had treated you kind. And I wondered if you ever think about the life we left behind. I could still remember clearly every word you used to say. Funny how a heart remembers what the mind tries to erase. I don't know if you remember how we used to be, but I still carry every moment that you gave to me. I still know your smile, even after all this time. I still hear your laughter when the night gets quiet inside. I still know your eyes, I still know the way you hide when you're hurting underneath, the way you always did with me. I still know your smile, even though you're not mine. And maybe you don't think of me, but you're still somewhere in my mind. I don't need you to come back, I just need to understand how somebody I once knew so well can feel like a stranger now. I remember all the mornings when you'd wake up next to me. You would open up the curtains, let the sunlight set you free. You would dance around the kitchen with your coffee in your hand, and I'd watch you from the doorway, thinking I had found my home. Now somebody else is waiting for your footsteps at their door. Somebody else gets to hear you when you're laughing like before. And I tell myself I'm happy that you found a better life, Some nights I still remember how your hand once fit in mine. I don't know if you remember how we used to be, but I still carry every moment that you gave to me. I still know your smile, even after all this time. I still hear your laughter when the night gets quiet inside. I still know your eyes, I still know the way you hide when you're hurting underneath the way you always did with me. I still know your smile, even though you're not mine. And maybe you don't think of me, but you're still somewhere in my mind. I don't need you to come back, I just need to understand how somebody I once knew so well can feel like a stranger now. Maybe I was just a chapter you were ready to forget. Maybe I was just a lesson that you haven't learned from yet. Maybe somewhere in your memories I'm still standing by your side. Maybe when you hear our old song you remember how we tried. If you ever miss me, you don't have to let me know. Some things are better left in silence, some things are better left alone. I just hope that when you think of me, you don't remember all the pain. I hope you see the nights we laughed before we lost our way. I still know your smile, even after all this time. I still hear your laughter when the night gets quiet inside. I still know your eyes, I still know the way you hide when you're hurting underneath the way. You were standing by the front door with your keys between your hands, and I knew by the way you looked at me, you didn't understand how a love could feel so heavy when we never made it real. How two people could be closer than they ever dared to feel. You were staring at the floor like the words were hard to find, and I wanted to say I love you, but I swallowed every line. You were waiting for a reason to believe that I would stay, but I think we both were frightened of the price we'd have to pay. If you had stayed a little longer, if you put your fears aside, maybe all the things we wanted would have finally come alive. If you stayed tonight, would you finally let me hold you? Would you tell me all the secrets that you always kept inside? If you stayed tonight, would you let your heart surrender? Would you stop pretending I remember all the evenings when you called me just to talk. You would tell me about your problems while you walked around the block. You said I was the only person who could ever calm your mind. But whenever I got closer, you would leave me far behind. You were always almost with me, almost mine and almost gone. Like a song without an ending, like a night without the dawn. And I spend my days believing that someday you'd finally see that the person you were running from was the person you needed. If you had stayed a little longer, if you'd put your fears aside, maybe all the things we wanted would have finally come alive. If you stayed tonight, would you finally let me hold you? Would you tell me all the secrets that you always kept inside? If you stayed tonight, would you let your heart surrender? Would you stop pretending that you never needed mine? If you stayed tonight, maybe we could find forever in the space between the words we were always too afraid to say. If you stayed tonight, maybe love would have a chance. But you turned around and left me before we ever got the chance. Maybe I was too afraid to tell you what I knew. Maybe you were too afraid to let me get to you. Maybe we were both pretending that we didn't need a thing, when the truth was in the silence and the pain it used to bring. I would have given you my future if you'd only given me tonight. I would have held you through the darkness till the morning brought the light. But you chose to keep on running, and I chose to let you go. Now the only thing that's left is everything we'll never know. If you stayed tonight, would you finally let me hold you? Would you tell me all the secrets that you always kept inside? If you stayed tonight, would you let your heart surrender? Would you stop pretending that you never needed mine? If you stayed tonight, maybe we could find forever in the space between the words we were always too afraid to say. If you stayed tonight, maybe love would have a chance. But you turned around and left me before we ever got the chance. If you stayed tonight, I would have. You were sitting on the sofa with your hands around your glass, looking like you knew the moment wasn't meant to last. I could hear the clock behind us moving slowly through the room, and the space between our bodies felt like something coming soon. You were looking at my lips, and then you looked away, like there was something you wanted, but you didn't know how to say. I could feel your hesitation, like a shadow on your skin. You were standing at the doorway of a love you wouldn't let in. If you had stayed a little longer, if you trusted what you felt, maybe we could have found forever in the moment that we held. Before you let me go, I saw the love inside your eyes. You were trying to hide it, but I knew you couldn't lie. Before you walked away, I felt your fingers touching mine, like you wanted to stay forever, but you left me one more time. Before you let me go, there was something we both knew. You were scared of falling deeper, so you chose to make it through. Now I'm left here wondering if you ever think of me. Before you let me go, was I almost what you need? You were talking about tomorrow, like I wouldn't be around, but the sadness in your voice was the only truth I found. You said maybe we were different, maybe timing wasn't right, but your eyes kept telling stories that you couldn't say that night. I remember how you held me for a second in the rain, like you wanted to remember how it felt to feel this way. Then you slowly pulled away, and you whispered my name, like you knew that walking from me would never feel the same. If you had stayed a little longer, if you trusted what you felt, maybe we could have found forever in the moment that we held. Before you let me go, I saw the love inside your eyes. You were trying to hide it, but I knew you couldn't lie. Before you walked away, I felt your fingers touching mine, like you wanted to stay forever, but you left me one more time. Before you let me go, there was something we both knew. You were scared of falling deeper, so you chose to make it through. Now I'm left here wondering if you ever think of me. Before you let me go, was I almost what you need? Just a moment you were never meant to keep. Maybe I was just the secret that you carried in your sleeve. Maybe somewhere in another life you way you looked at me, like you wanted to say, don't let me leave. Before you let me go, I saw the love inside your eyes. You were trying to hide it, but I knew you couldn't lie. Before you walked away, I felt your fingers touching mine, like you wanted to stay forever, but you left me one more time. Before you let me go, there was something we both knew. You were scared of falling deeper, so you chose to make it through. Now I'm left here wondering if you ever think of me. Before you let me go, was I almost what you need? Before you let me go, did you ever want to stay? Did you ever see a future before you turned away? Before you let me go, was there love you couldn't show? I remember the way you looked at me that evening by the door, like you wanted to say something you never said before. There was rain against the window and the room was turning cold, but the warmth inside your eyes was the only thing I knew. You were standing there so quietly with your fingers on your coat, and I knew that you were leaving, even though you never spoke. I wanted to reach for you, but I couldn't make a sound. So I watched you take a breath and slowly turn around. Maybe love was in the moment, maybe we were just too late. Maybe all the things we wanted were standing right there in our way. It was the way you looked at me, like you wanted me to stay, like you needed me to hold you, but you couldn't ask me to. It was the way you looked at me before you turned away, like 1,000 words were hiding in the tears you couldn't show. It was the way you looked at me that I still remember now. You were standing right beside me, but I couldn't reach you somehow. It was the way you looked at me, like you loved me one last time before you walked into the darkness and left your heart behind. I remember how you told me that you never wanted pain. You said every time you loved someone, you ended up the same. So I promised I would never give you reasons to regret, but I guess the things we promise aren't the things we can't protect. You would hold me in the morning, then disappear by night, like you couldn't make your heart decide if this was wrong or right. And I spent so many evenings trying to understand why the person who was closest was the one I couldn't hold. Maybe love was in the moment, maybe we were just too late. Maybe all the things we wanted were standing right there in our way. It was the way you looked at me, like you wanted me to stay, like you needed me to hold you, but you couldn't ask me to. It was the way you looked at me before you turned away, like 1,000 words were hiding in the tears you couldn't show. It was the way you looked at me that I still remember now. You were standing right beside me, but I couldn't reach you somehow. It was the way you looked at me, like you loved me one last time before you walked into the darkness and left your heart behind. I'd ask where you'd been. I'll tell you the truth, I was scared too. I was afraid of losing someone like you. Maybe if we'd been honest, maybe if we'd let it show, maybe all the love between us wouldn't have had to go. But you kept your heart protected, and I kept mine locked away. Two people holding on to love while letting love escape. It was the way you looked at me, like you wanted me to stay, like you needed me to hold you, but you couldn't ask me to. It was the way you looked at me before you turned away, like 1,000 words were hiding in the tears you couldn't show. It was the way you looked at me that I still remember now. You were standing right beside me, but I couldn't reach you somehow. It was the way you looked at me, like you loved me one last time before you walked into the darkness. You were standing in the hallway with your jacket in your hands, and the look upon your face said you were leaving like you planned. I was waiting for an answer to a question I never asked. You were looking at the doorway like you couldn't face the past. There was silence in the room, but I heard everything, every breath you tried to hide, every word you couldn't bring. You were only one step closer to the life you said you knew, but the way you looked behind you made me think you wanted to. Maybe we were both too frightened to admit what this could be. Maybe you were scared of losing what you never let yourself keep. You never said goodbye, you just slowly disappeared. Left the door a little open, like you wanted me to wait here. You never said goodbye, you just turned and walked away. But the love inside your silence is still calling out my name. You never said goodbye, and I still don't know why. If you never really loved me, why were tears inside your eyes? You never said goodbye, you just left me with the truth that sometimes people lose each other while they're still in love. I remember all the evenings when you stayed until the dawn, talking about the things you wanted and the places you'd be gone. You would tell me about your childhood and the dreams you kept inside. Then you'd fall asleep beside me like there was nowhere else to hide. I could feel your heartbeat racing when I'd hold you in the dark. You were always getting closer, then you'd suddenly pull apart, like your heart was saying stay, while your mind was saying run. And I never knew which voice would be the one you'd follow. Maybe we were both too frightened to admit what this could be. Maybe you were scared of losing what you never let yourself keep. You never said goodbye, you just slowly disappeared. Left the door a little open, like you wanted me to wait here. You never said goodbye, you just turned and walked away. But the love inside your silence is still calling out my name. You never said goodbye, and I still don't know why. If you never really loved me, why were tears inside your eyes? You never said goodbye, you just left me with the truth that sometimes people lose each other while they're still in love. If you had told me you were afraid, I would have stayed, I would have waited. If you had told me you needed time, I would have given you all of mine. But you said nothing, and I said nothing. We let the silence decide our lives. Now every night I hear your footsteps in every room where you once stood. And sometimes I still turn around thinking you came back like I knew you would. You never said goodbye, you just slowly disappeared. Left the door outside, your silence is still calling out my name. You never said goodbye, and I still don't know why. If you never really loved me, why were tears inside your eyes? You never said goodbye, you just left me with the truth. You were standing in my doorway on a cold December night, with the rain upon your shoulders and your eyes beneath the light. You said you didn't mean to come, but somehow you were here, and I could hear the words you swallowed in the silence of the room. You took off your coat slowly, and you placed it on the chair, like you knew that you were welcome, like you knew that I still cared. But then you looked across the room, and I saw it in your eyes. You had come here for a reason, but you couldn't tell me why. Maybe you were tired of running, maybe you were tired of being alone. Maybe somewhere in your heart you were looking for a place called home. You were almost home when you stood outside my door. You were almost mine, like you'd never been before. You were almost ready to leave your past behind, but you turned away from me at the very last goodbye. You were almost home, I could feel it in your hands. You were almost telling me that you finally understand. You were almost everything I had waited for so long, but you were afraid of staying, so you chose to carry on. We sat there in the darkness, talking softly through the night. You told me about the years you spent trying to survive. I told you that you didn't have to carry it alone. You looked at me and smiled like you'd finally found your home. For a moment you were different, there was peace inside your eyes. You leaned closer to my shoulder, and I thought we'd found the time. But the morning came too quickly, and your walls came back again. You were reaching for the doorway before I could say stay. Maybe you were tired of running, maybe you were tired of being alone. Maybe somewhere in your heart you were looking for a place called home. You were almost home when you stood outside my door. You were almost mine, like you'd never been before. You were almost ready to leave your past behind, but you turned away from me at the very last goodbye. You were almost home, I could feel it in your hands. You were almost telling me that you finally understand. You were almost everything I had waited for so long, but you were afraid staying, so you chose to carry on. Would you still be here today? If I had held you just a little, would you still have walked away? If I had told you I was frightened, would you finally understand that I never needed saving, I just needed you to stay? You didn't have to be perfect, you didn't have to be strong. You just had to trust the feeling that had been there all along. But you picked up your old defenses like a coat you always wore, and you walked back into the darkness that you came here to escape. You were almost home when you stood outside my door. You were almost mine, like you'd never been before. You were almost ready to leave your past behind, but you turned away from me at the very last goodbye. You were almost home, I could feel it in your hands. You were almost telling me that you finally understand. You were almost everything I had waited for so long, but you were afraid of staying, so you chose to carry on. You were almost home. The last time you held me, you didn't say a word. You just stayed there beside me, like silence couldn't hurt. I could feel your heart beating against my chest that night, and I wished I could stop time before you said goodbye. You were looking out the window at the lights across the street, and I wondered what you saw there when you weren't looking at me. Maybe you saw a future where I wasn't by your side. Maybe you were already leaving long before that night. I should have held you tighter, I should have asked you to stay, but something in your silence told me you'd already made your way. The last time you held me, I thought we'd have another night. I thought tomorrow would bring you back, I thought we'd make it right. The last time you held me, I didn't know it was the end. I was holding on to someone who was already letting go again. The last time you held me, I still felt your love inside. Maybe that's what hurts the most. You were leaving while you cried. The last time you held me, I wish I'd known what I know now. I would have stayed there in your arms and never let you down. I remember how you whispered that you didn't want to fight. You said maybe we were tired, maybe love had lost its light. But I could hear the hesitation in every word you tried to say. Like a part of you was hoping I would find a reason for you to stay. I reached for your hand slowly, but you didn't reach for mine. And the distance between our fingers felt like the end of our lives. You stood there by the doorway with your eyes upon the floor, and I knew that if you left then you wouldn't come back anymore. I should have held you tighter, I should have asked you to stay, but something in your silence told me you'd already made your way. The last time you held me, I thought we'd have another night. I thought tomorrow would bring you back, I thought we'd make it right. The last time you held me, I didn't know it was the end. I was holding on to someone who was already letting go again. The last time you held me, I still felt your love inside. Maybe that's what hurts the most, you were leaving while you cried. The last time you held me, I wish I'd known what I know now. I would have stayed there in your arms and never let you down. If I could go back to that moment in the night, I'd tell you I was sorry for every time I made you cry. I'd tell you I still loved you, I'd tell you I was afraid. I'd tell you that the future wasn't worth what we had made. Maybe you would have stayed, maybe you would have gone, maybe nothing would have changed, maybe I was wrong. But I would have said the words that I was too afraid to say. I would have told you I loved you before you walked away. Now every time I close my eyes, I feel you in my arms, and I keep reliving that last moment, wondering where we went wrong. The last time you held me, I thought we'd have another night. I thought tomorrow would bring you back, I thought we'd make it right. The last time you held me, I didn't know it was the end. I was holding on to someone who was already letting go. You were lying on my shoulder while the city faded out, and I wondered if you knew what my silence was about. You were tracing little circles on the back of my hand, like you wanted me to hold you, but you couldn't understand. How a moment could feel endless, how a touch could feel so deep, how the words we never spoke could be the ones we couldn't keep. You were breathing next to me, but your heart was somewhere else, and I knew that I was losing you before you left yourself. There was something in between us, something neither one could name. We were standing in the middle of a fire afraid of flame. It was the space between us where I thought we'd meet someday, where your heart could finally open and you never walk away. It was the space between us that kept pulling me inside. You were close enough to touch me, but too far away to stay. And I spent so many nights wondering what we could have been, in the space between us where our story now begins. I remember Sunday morning when the sunlight filled the room. You were standing by the curtains like you knew you'd leave me soon. You were talking about your future like my name was never there, but the sadness in your voice told me you were fighting scared. I could have asked you to stay, I could have told you how I felt, but sometimes love gets complicated when you're afraid of losing yourself. So I watched you take your jacket, I watched you reach for the door, and the space between us wide and light it never had before. There was something in between us, something neither one could name. We were standing in the middle of a fire afraid of flame. It was the space between us where I thought we'd meet someday, where your heart could finally open and you never walk away. It was a space between us that kept pulling me inside. You were close enough to touch me, but too far away to stay. And I spent so many nights wondering what we could have been, in the space between us where our story now begins. maybe love was just too much. And now the only thing between us is the memory of your touch. There was a space between us where I thought we'd meet someday, where your heart could finally open and you never walk away. It was a space between us that kept pulling me inside. You were close enough to touch me, but too far away to stay. And I spent so many nights wondering what we could have been, in the space between us where our story never begins. Maybe we were almost lovers. Maybe we were almost home. Maybe we were almost something, but we were never truly known. Maybe you still think about me when the night gets quiet too. Maybe somewhere in the silence there's still a space for me.